What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the first ever Gamerz Klubb lab session. So we are simultaneously live on YouTube and Twitch. So if for whatever reason you have to switch to another medium, we are on both. So first of all, I'm going to introduce Shadow of Gamerz Klubb here, telling us what it is that we're going to be doing tonight.
Well, really quick, we just wanted to go over how it is, because people sometimes do ask us how it is that we go about building a deck and what cards are good. And hopefully this will be an insight for newer players, so you can get an idea of how to build a deck, or maybe more experienced players can, let us know in the comment section, what we're doing wrong or how we could build a deck better.
Yeah, so this is what the lab session is all about. We're not here just to teach people, we're here to take some feedback. So we're always looking and, willing to accept feedback. As long as it's constructive, we're always open to new suggestions. So go ahead and leave a comment, send us a message. We are monitoring everything that's coming in through Twitch, so go ahead and message us. We're going to be just working on a deck tonight, and this is going to be weekly, so this is the first to come. We hope you're as excited as we are. We're working on a schedule so that we can be consistent. This is going to be a weekly thing. Tomorrow, Tuesday night, we're going to be streaming video games like we usually do, and it's not going to be as sporadic as it used to be. So Tuesdays at 9 p.m. till 10:30 p.m., we will be streaming video gameplay. On Thursday nights as well. However, Thursdays, we're going to do something interesting where we do kind of a medley of Gamerz Klubb members streaming video games. We hope you get excited for that. And every Monday at the same hour, we're going to try to start at 6:30. If we can't, 7. We'll go to about, what time would you say?
Maybe 8:30, depending if the session runs a little bit longer, because sometimes deck building isn't always the easy thing. It's something you gotta put time and effort into, and it can take a while. It can take days sometimes to get a deck right, but with hopefully our knowledge and hopefully help from you guys, we can maybe get knock it out in 1 or 2 sessions.
So what we're going to do is we're going to try to work on the deck itself, and then possibly if we have enough time, we're going to actually try to do one of our other pre-constructed decks, or just try to do some hands and maybe try to do some solo combos. Again, we are in Los Angeles, 4525 South Main Street. If you need any singles or any cards or boxes, full boxes, sealed boxes, we are at gamersklubb.tcgplayerpro.com. Visit us for other merchandise at gamersklubb.com if you want to support what we're doing. We are on YouTube at Gamerz Klubb if you're watching us on Twitch, and we are on Twitch at Gamerz Klubb as well if you're watching us on YouTube. Thank you guys for joining us, and we might get started here.
All right, now the deck I wanted to build, it's a bit of a mismatch of a few different things. Pendulum monsters, pendulum warrior monsters, ideally. And the deck is going to primarily revolve around one card, Buster Blader. Now, I don't necessarily know how well Thunder Dragons work as a deck, but I know here at the shop, a lot of people tend to run dragon decks. People seem to love dragons, so maybe we might build something to try to counteract Gamerz Klubb's meta, because Gamerz Klubb seems to just attract people who have a lot of dragon decks, and we're going to try to build something with pendulums to turbo out the Buster Blader. The theory behind this deck is to get Buster Blader onto the field as quickly as possible and hopefully try to protect them. How we plan to do that, not quite sure yet, which is why we're having this lab session.
So it's an interesting idea, and we both just wanted to work on it, and that's what we're trying to do. Every week we're trying to do something new, something fresh, something that we could, that's been either milling in our mind, that we've heard about, and that we could possibly get, and that's why we wanted to bring it live to you guys, so that we can get, feedback, because we don't open on Mondays. That's a new scheduling thing. We will not be opening on Mondays, but we will be working on content for you. So out of our busy schedule, we're taking this time so that we can, work on decks, improve our gameplay, and since we're not able to be with you guys, face to face, In this type of medium, we can get feedback live, and it's like everybody's just joining in and helping us with the deck or observing how it is we go about it.
Now for monsters, ideally we're probably going to end up having 3 Buster Bladers. Only have 2 at the moment. But it's going to be a lot of warriors, hopefully. And pendulum based cards. Because a lot of these do offer pretty decent effects.
And that's why we're doing a lab session, so that we can have both of our cards here.
There we go. Mick had the 3rd one. I didn't have to go digging through my stuff for a 3rd one. I don't even think I have a 3rd one, to be honest. So there we go. Here's the 3rd Buster Blader. I feel like we need a 3rd one of these Dragon Pit Magicians at the very least. So we're going to want scales here to ideally protect, well, not just protect, but to get them out onto the field as quickly and as easily as possible, because in today's format, this may not necessarily be, something that's going to top at a YCS anytime soon, but it's going to be hopefully a fun deck that can actually hold its own against, at least hold its own against the meta.
Yeah, or at least, you don't go 2-0 every single time. There's at least a chance that you might do something. Or if you're not playing a competitive deck, or you don't want to be playing a meta competitive deck, maybe this is something so that you can, kind of have fun with, instead of just always looking for that top-notch win, or, whatever it is that's kind of boring you. Because we've been hearing that a lot sometimes with people who constantly have decks that just win all the time. It's like, winning is awesome, but at the same time, sometimes it can get a bit repetitive. So right off the bat, one thing that I might want to suggest, and I don't know if that is even viable, but the warrior returning alive, since it is a warrior deck, in case we have something that mills, or for whatever, since hand destruction right now is being used quite a bit, in case we draw into it, potentially get it back from the graveyard, because he himself cannot be brought back on its own.
It's a good point. It's actually a pretty good sounding card by it's a pretty good card by the sound of it. Sounds good.
We'll see how it works in practice.
Yeah.
Just because when I was beginning and I used to use the Buster Blader, if he was in my graveyard, I was kind of screwed. But I wasn't very well versed, and I still not very well versed. I'm okay. I'm better, but that seems like something that
Yeah, this seems like a card that might be viable. This one is actually pretty good.
Boxer. It's a warrior type.
Warrior type, warrior earth. When this card
Level
destroys an
4.
opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can place 1 counter on this card. You can send this card with 2 or more counters to the graveyard. Special summon 1 earth monster from your deck. This card will be destroyed by battle or card effect. You can remove 1 counter from this card instead. Now, it might need an equipped spell card to destroy many things, because it is only an 1800 body, but it will special summon an earth straight onto the field.
So then perhaps you might want to use, the only thing I don't like about it is that it's not a quick play. It's a regular spell trap, but backup rider, just to give it that boost.
So one face-up monster in the field, it gains 1500 attack until the end of the turn. It's not bad. I did have some equipped spell cards here sitting about. And a field spell. So this field spell is empowerment. Not sure how well the camera's picking that up, but that's empowerment right there. And it reads, all dragon, warrior, and spellcaster type monsters you control gain 300 attack and defense. Once per turn, you can discard 1 special summoned empowered monster, and it goes on from there, but that effect is kind of irrelevant to us. We might Use it for that extra 300, and it's a field spell, and it can also, it can get you there maybe.
Just to try to turbo it in onto the field.
Activate only when your opponent special summons a monster. Select one field spell card from your deck. Activate it. It's not bad, actually. Most decks tend to special summon at least once per turn.
And what I like about it is that a quick play,
Yeah.
so you don't have to wait for it. Makes it a lot faster. I like right off the bat. Quick plays I will always like way better than just regular spells. Although I like spells better than I do like traps.
Yeah. You always want to go for something that you can activate immediately rather than something you have to wait a turn for. Unless your deck just works that way, usually you don't want to stockpile on too many trap cards.
Yeah, you don't want to wait for your opponent to have to do something. You just want to do it. You want to progress your own game forward. We can put this to the side, Swift Gaia. I don't think that's viable at all in this, perhaps. But we might see, because when it's the only hand the only card in your hand, you can normal summon it without tribute.
Equip to a warrior type monster. Apply this effect depending on its battle position. Attack position, it gains attack equal to its original defense. If it's in defense, it gains defense equal to its original attack. Magnum Shield. It's an equipped spell card. That's pretty good. So if I equip it to him and he's in attack, he's 1800 attack. Will gain his defense if he's in attack. So he'd become a 2800 body that you can normal summon if you happen to draw it. So I think this might be a good, decent 3 of in this deck.
Does this deck go into any fusions, do you know?
Ideally, because these pendulums are actually normal monsters, we could potentially also go into First of the Dragons. First of the Dragons is a pretty solid card. So I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's pretty decent. It has a decent effect. Must be fusion summoned. Cannot be special summoned by other ways. You can only control one First of the Dragons. This card cannot be destroyed by battle except by battle with a normal monster. It is unaffected by other monsters' effects. So they'd have to either Dark Hole or Raigeki this, which is okay, but you can also do it with 2 level 4 monsters that you can normal summon out. Go into First of the Dragons, and it's unaffected by other monsters' card effects, so they can't, use the monster to against Ultrageist. They wouldn't be able to just bounce this back with their monster effects. And he's a 2700 attack, and he can only be destroyed by battle with a normal monster. So, against Blue Eyes, he might have a difficult matchup. But at that point, you wouldn't go into him. You would go into Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. And if you had, if you were playing something like Blue Eyes, you really wouldn't need to go into him. You would just try to bring out the Buster Blader.
A good card just because of effects, and perhaps search, and perhaps fusion.
It's confusion. I do have 2 polymerizations. I do have one of the anime style polymerizations.
Some kaiju power, perhaps.
Maybe 2 of these. I think the one Reborn. I'm just trying to organize this a little bit better because things are getting a little bit out of hand here. Want to put in. So far, we have 3 Boxers, 3 Buster Bladers, 2 Magnum Shield. We are in a very transited street, so there is quite a bit of noise come in from outside. We apologize for that. There's not much we can do about it. 2 Dragon Pulse Magicians, normal, level 1 on the scale. Dragon Pit Magician, level 7, 8 on the pendulum scale. That's, ideally, I think I would want 3 of each of these, just to try to maximize on having pendulum scales. At the very least, I would want to just pendulum summon out at least low level monsters so you can at least tribute for the Buster Blader, which we might get into right now, actually. Try to find. Okay, here's the third one of that one. Oh, hollow one. I'd rather do the super and 1 common. Or we could do 2 commons, 1 common, 2 supers for each. 3 and 3. Hopefully for consistency. Usually if you have a card, like either one of these 4 cards, and if it's really good and it'll start your combo, and it's one of the key components of the deck, you want to run them at 3. You don't want to just go overboard and have too many different archetypes, which initially I did try to build this deck and try to incorporate Ignites, Pendulum Monsters, Battle Boxers, Buster Blader, and the Gaia archetype, but it was just too much. It's too all over the place. You don't want to do that. You don't want to run too many cards that are 1-ofs or 2-ofs. You want to do 3 for consistency. And you usually don't want to go more than 40. Unless the deck can work that way, but that's very rare. So I think here we have 3 Boxers, 2 Magnum Shield, 3 Dragon Pulse, 3 Dragon Pit, and 3 Buster Bladers.
So he works off of, what is his effect?
This card gains 500 attack for each dragon type monster your opponent controls or is in their graveyard. Against something like Blue Eyes, and a lot of people do run Blue Eyes, Mick runs Blue Eyes also. And I know that deck tends to not mill, but they tend to drop a lot of their stuff to the grave. So anytime they have either the stones or the White Stone of Legend or the White Stone of the Ancients, drop those 2, or even the Dragon Spirit of White. That's 3. That's 1,500 extra attack. Not to mention anything else that would be on the field.
So that's just your opponent's then, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we could do just automatically 1 Monster Reborn. I mean, really good card. You really usually can't go wrong with this card. It's a free special summon from either player's graveyard.
So he's a warrior type. What searches warriors? That's probably something so that you can possibly work on, something that may search a warrior monster.
Let's see. I do have my laptop open here. We're going to be using card database here to look up certain cards, because we don't have every card, on the table right now, so it's kind of hard to just keep every single card on the table. So we're going to be looking up certain things on the database here. Let's see. Reinforcements of the army. Forget exactly what the wording on that card is. Reinforcements of the army. Add 1 level 4 lower warrior monster from your deck to your hand. That could actually work. That would actually, I think that might be helpful.
Reinforcements of the army. So this is mainly going to be a warrior deck, you would say?
I would think so. I think we also will need some dragons, because I really like this fusion, this Buster Blader fusion card. Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. He reads one Buster Blader and one Dragon type monster must be fusion summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card can attack direct. Oh, this card cannot attack directly. This card gains 1,000 attack and defense for each Dragon type monster your opponent controls or is in their graveyard. Change all Dragon type monsters your opponent controls to defense position. Also, Dragon type monsters in your opponent's possession cannot activate their effects. This card attacks the defense position monster and inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent.
Okay, so warrior and warriors tend to be earth, correct?
As far as I'm seeing, yeah.
Okay, so you want some dragons in here, and perhaps some maybe earth dragons. So right off the bat, I'm thinking Mice's Radiant for a link option.
Yeah, we're probably gonna do Mices for the.
And she boosts.
I think I should have one here in my binder.
Okay.
Got one right here. Mices Radiant. 2 Earth monsters. All Earth monsters on the field gain 500 attack and defense. Also, Wind monsters 400 attack and defense. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target 1 Earth type monster in your graveyard added to your hand. Definitely a good extra deck option there. Hadn't really thought of that card, and this is why lab sessions are done with more than one person. To get ideas bouncing back and forth, you know, to get input for someone else, because you might not always be thinking of cards, or you might overlook something that's seemingly obvious.
So warrior, if you happen to have Psyframe gear, Psyframe driver, sorry. If you happen to have Psyframe driver, we might be able to incorporate some negation. Forbidden Chalice for that, negation of effects, because from what it seems like, these are kind of more aggro style attack point based monsters. So their effects aren't necessarily the craziest that are going to help them do something. So maybe you want to negate other effects. Foolish Burial perhaps, because if, like you mentioned, if you're going to use this fusion monster, you might want to get some stuff into the graveyard. So perhaps Foolish Burial might be a viable option, because it needs dragons in the graveyard, correct?
Well, yeah, it needs opponents' monsters in the graveyard.
Oh, opponents. Okay. It doesn't need yours, so this might not be viable then. So we're not possibly going for graveyard then. Okay. Maybe Fusion Sage, because that searches out polymerization.
And someone did suggest we run Firewall in this deck, which might be a viable option. That's usually pretty good. I mean, that card is broken.
Thank you for the suggestion. Who was the user? Do we know him?
Albert Flores, I believe that's Tito.
Oh, hey Tito, what's up, man? What's going on, bro?
Part of me because this is going to be a for fun deck, and it's nice to get into the competitive mindset and to want to play meta and to win tournaments. There's definitely nothing wrong with that, and we do definitely encourage that as well. But I feel it's just as important to have fun with the deck you're playing. And I think an option that I would love to incorporate is just
Gaia.
Gaia the Fierce Knight. This was always one of my favorite cards.
With Gaia, you might need some Gaia warrior support, and there is some out there. Is Gaia a normal monster?
Yeah, he's a normal monster.
So then you might want to use something like Summoner's Art. If you want to read to everybody out there what Summoner's Art does.
Summoner's Art. Add one level 5 or higher normal monster from your deck to your hand. This is actually when the starter deck matches a pendulum. Kinda cool. I didn't know this had that. I don't know why you would have needed that in that structure deck.
However, you are going to be able to search not only this pendulum, but now you have two targets, Gaia and
And
one
a
of-
high scale.
one
Oh,
of your-
nice. Oh, see, now we got this warrior. Well, actually, this can. If we had a Rhoda, reinforcements the army. Oh, he's a spellcaster, so that really wouldn't work. But
You can, however, use something like either Foolish Burial or Needlebug's Nest, but you don't want to throw away options, so perhaps Foolish Burial just in combination with the Warrior Returning Alive, that might be a combo that you... Now, sometimes you don't want to bank on perhaps. You want to make it a point of that. So we'd have to make that a point of the deck without veering off the objective too much. Do you happen to know if this card is still usable? I don't know if it's on any limited or banned list.
I don't know actually. Dragon Capture Jar. As long as this card remains face up on the field, all face up dragon type monsters are changed to defense position and cannot change their battle position. It's actually
So-
really good.
So since you're not necessarily looking to let dragons do anything, I mean, I don't see why not. If this is an anti-dragon deck, in part. Summoner Monk. What did I just see here in my...
Now, someone asked on our YouTube feed, and we did want to announce that starting next Wednesday, we will be holding our Wednesday tournaments, and we are OTS, so they will be OTS tournaments from now on. We will be holding them Wednesdays and Sundays now. So, follow us on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the details, or if you have any questions, message us, let us know.
That is Facebook at Gamerz Klubb. Gamers with a Z, Club with a K, double B. Also, we tonight we will choose our 100 subscriber winner for our 100 subscriber giveaway that we talked about. If you guys remember, I did a live broadcast about that. Tonight we will choose it after the broadcast. We've kind of gotten some things out of the way so that we can do that. We've scheduled the time so we can actually go for that. I think Edgar has some update about that. We'll probably announce it either tonight or tomorrow night during our broadcast when we play some video games.
Yeah, most likely by tomorrow night. We should have a few more of the details ironed out. I did have a stack of just random assorted warrior cards that I had that I don't really know very well, but Marauding Captain. Your opponent cannot target warrior type monster for attacks except this one. When this card is normal summon, you can special summon one level 4 or lower. One level 4 or lower monster from your hand, Marauding Captain. So you can normal summon him to special summon something else out, but what? Oh, that would be actually a good way to protect the boxer. You can normal summon the Marauding Captain, special summon the boxer, and equip the Magnum Shield to him, and now they have to hit the Marauding Captain for an attack. In case you offers you sun protection. I don't know how good that is. We can also put this to the side and then see if we don't find anything better, we can definitely incorporate that into there. Goblinberg. When this card is normal summon, you can special summon one level 4 or lower monster from your hand. After that, change this card to defense position. Ooh. There's a very similar effect, but he changes himself to defense position after. He's a level 4 warrior. Not bad. What is this? Emblem of Dragon Destroyer. Add 1 Buster Blader from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Pretty good. I think I have one of them. I think that might be our second one. Yeah, I have one of them here. That's 2. I have this card here, Destruction Swordsman Fusion. Fusion summon 1 fusion monster that lists Buster Blader as either as a material from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or either side of the field as fusion material. Ooh. It's pretty cool. This card is in your graveyard. You can send 1 card from your hand to your graveyard. Add this card to your hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. Whoa, that is pretty cool. Destruction Swordsman Fusion. It's a quick play, so you can chain it to something, activate it, tribute 1 Buster Blader you control. You could even tribute 1 dragon type monster your opponent controls, fusion summon, and then you can discard 1 card that's maybe dead in your hand or you don't really need, and then just add it back the next turn or the same turn if need be. Although you wouldn't be able to use it again in the same turn because each effect is once per turn. And that's hard once per turn. So you would not be able to. But on the next turn, if you draw something that you maybe don't need or maybe that you already have on the field, it won't be really good to progress your game. You could just dump it to the grave, bring this back, and fusion summon a second copy or a third copy of whatever card you need.
So let's see.
Trying to incorporate some of these Ignite Paladin, Ignite Squire maybe. Actually, maybe I like this one, Ignite Paladin. He's a level 4 warrior, normal monster, 1900 defense, and he's a level 2 pendulum, or scale 2 pendulum. I feel like I would want at least 1 more of him and another high scale. Although I think for the dragons, I think we could do the Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. Because if you happen to not either summon either one of these or pull either one of these to get to your scales, you can, during the end phase, where is it? During the end phase, you can destroy this card, and if you do, add 1 pendulum monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand. And Dragon Pit Magician, who is a scale 8, is only 900 attack but 2700 defense. So that could be viable. And for one of your fusions, because you also don't want to always try to rely on your opponent having a dragon type monster to fuse off with Destruction Swordsman Fusion, you do want to have your own dragons. So I think this actually might be good because you can use it off. You can use its pendulum effect, and its monster effect is actually pretty good too. Whenever it does any battle damage, the battle damage is doubled off of that. So I feel like this is just a really good card overall. It's one of my favorite cards in the game actually.
So I have a question here, and I never used this kaiju before. However, so if you special summon this kaiju to an opponent's field, does his attack become 0? Or you cannot do it because there is no other equipped kaiju to it?
Cannot be normal summon or set. If your opponent controls a kaiju monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only control one kaiju monster. Once per turn, you can remove 2 kaiju counters from anywhere on the field. Equip 1 kaiju monster from your hand or graveyard to this card. This card gains attack equal to the combined attack of the kaiju monsters equipped to it by this effect.
Oh, okay. I understand now. It doesn't have the effect to be able to be special summoned to your opponent's side of the field.
No.
Unlike Thunder King.
Yeah, this would be something that you would run in a kaiju-based deck with like Kyoto Waterfront and the Kaiju Files, Kaiju Slumber, and all those support cards. This is Super Anti-Kaiju War Machine Mecha Dogoron. Pretty convoluted name. He's not actually a kaiju, unfortunately.
However, in combination with some other one, we do have Thunder King, the Lightning Strike Kaiju. Just in case we need something for board removal.
Yeah.
We have some some card destruction. MST. This I think is going to be a viable option in this deck, just because we do have a Starfoiled one from Battle Pack 1, which is freaking amazing. I don't know if you guys can pick that up on the camera. Do we have any feedback on either one of our channels coming in?
Let me double check that really quick. YouTube. We had that. And I'm checking for. We have one viewer on Twitch, but we have no comments so far.
All right, no problem. So let's continue with the sesh. We don't want to leave you guys out, so we're gonna try to constantly be monitoring. Don't be afraid to comment. If you have any suggestions, go ahead and leave us the suggestions.
Dark Crusader. You can send one dark monster from your hand to the graveyard to have this card gain 400 attack. He is a level 4 Dark Warrior. That's not the greatest effect. The Goblinberg I kind of like. Ignite Paladin I really like also. Wish I had had a few more of him. He's actually pretty decent. Let's see what this card says. During your main phase, you can attach one Xyz material from a Battling Boxer. Xyz monster you control, and if you do special summon this card from your hand, you can only use the effect once per turn. It's Battling Boxer Shadow. He's not so great. Like the way the card looks, like the name, not too good of an effect. Karma of the Destruction Swordsman. Target up to 3 monsters with the same type in your opponent's graveyard, banish them, and if you do, one Buster Blader monster, one Buster Blader monster or Destruction Swordsman monster you control gains 500 attack and defense for each of those banished monsters until the end of this turn. If this card is in your graveyard, you can discard one Destruction Sword card, add this card to your hand. That's decent, but I don't know if you would necessarily want to play this card too much. I don't really like it too much, only because you have to banish your opponent's dragon type monsters. Well, you don't have to banish the dragon type. It says they just have to be 3 of the same type. So this actually might be decent. And then he gains 500 attack for each card banished with this effect until the end of the turn. So actually, now that I think about it out loud, it actually sounds solid. Photon Slasher, Warrior, level 5 light. If a face-up exceeds monsters on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand in face-up defense position. 2100 attack, 1000 defense. Not really great, not wowing me. I think we're also going to incorporate one dark hole because board wipes are always good and it's a good one of, and even if you're playing someone who's running dragons, of course you're going to get that power boost whether they're in the graveyard or not, so I think is decent. I think we might need a second or third one of these, not really sure yet. I'll start putting cards off to the side. Actually, I'm going to start putting them up here because these cards up here seem to be pretty decent. Polymerization, I think we're going to need some fusion cards, so we're going to do, I think, 2 polymerization, and with the Buster Blader fusion card, that's going to be 3, and that one's a quick play spell. And we do have the anime art style card, which in my opinion is like the best looking one. I mean, the regular one, it's okay, I mean, if you have nothing else, but I'd rather have this. I think this to me just looks amazing. I think this should be good. Let's see, just off of what we have here, the for sure cards. Let me see what our count is up to.
So for sure, 3 Buster Bladers.
10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 4, 5. So we're up to 25 cards so far. 25 cards. We need 15 cards to go. And it seems to be we have a pretty decent ratio of cards to monsters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 monsters and 10 spell cards. So we're trying to keep our ratios good so we don't, you know, the worst thing you want to do is have too many spell cards and not enough monsters, or too many monsters and not enough spell cards. That's also the good thing about, and what I love about pendulums is the versatility of them. They can act as spell cards, they can act as monsters. You can, you know, keep recurring them back. Not a bad deck, not a bad mechanic at all in my opinion. I love, as everybody knows, I love pendulums.
Telethonforamerica.com. Go to it, man. Don't be a.
Let's see, what else can we have here? Destruction, Sword, Flash. This is the trap card. This is a Buster Blader trap card. You control a fusion monster at the list. Buster Blader as its material. Banish all monsters your opponent controls. Whoa. That sounds pretty fucking broken right there. It's actually not bad. You control a fusion monster that lists Buster Blader as its material. Banish all monsters your opponent controls. When a card or effect is activated that targets a Buster Blader monster you control, except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your graveyard, negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. Whoa. Destruction, Sword, Flash. Check that out, guys. It's that card right there. This sounds good at 2. If I had a second or third one of these, I think we would cut one of the polys, but we don't, so we gotta run 2 polys because we only got one of those. Here's another Buster Blader trap card. Discard 1 Destruction Sword card. Special summon 1 Buster Blader from your deck. You can banish this card from your graveyard. You can banish this card from your graveyard. Fusion summon one Buster Blader, Dragon Destroyer, Swordsman from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your graveyard.
Sorry about that, guys. I was trying to monitor the comments on Twitch so that Shadow can concentrate on the YouTube comments, but I couldn't see the feed of comments on Twitch, so I'm gonna concentrate again back into this.
These two trap cards actually seem really solid. I'm liking what I'm saying right there.
Alright, discard one destruction sword. Card special on one Buster Blader monster from the deck. You can banish, but it's dependent on you having this. I think it's more viable if you had multiple. Do you have multiple of these?
Of those, no. I only have them at one.
Then unfortunately, I believe that as it stands right now, this is not going to be viable. You can banish this card from your graveyard, fuse one Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer, Swordsman from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from the graveyard, which is a very good effect in and of itself. Okay, so that's not terrible. If you control a fusion monster list, Buster Blader has material banish all monsters when it controls. When a card or effect is activated that targets Buster Blader monsters you control, except during damage step, you can banish this card from your graveyard and negate the effect, and if you do, destroy that card. These are pretty good, having multiples of it.
Yeah.
In this particular deck.
Yeah. I think we could run them at one each, only because hopefully. Well, I think they would both be good at two. So usually trap cards you don't really want to ever run three of, unless it's something like Solemn Strike. So we'll see. We might not end up incorporating them because one of us tend to get cloggy and sometimes they're a little bit bricky. Inherently, sometimes traps are just unfortunately kind of bricky, which is why I really don't like trap cards very much, but these two just seem to have really good effects. Activate one or both of these effects simultaneously. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, target the attacking monster changes to defense position. Target one face-up monster you control, equip it with this card to that target, it gains 500 attack. So it negates an attack and boosts up your monster by 500 attack points, which is not a lot, but it might just get you there if you really need it.
Do you have any lower level 4 or lower monsters that help out that trap card to get that fusion out? Because they say that if you have the fusion materials, which is that one right there, the top one, if you have the fusion materials for the fusion monster listed on that card, you can fusion summon it by banishing that card and the materials listed on that fusion monster. So if they are level 4 or lower monsters that get that fusion monster, then you might want to incorporate Mathematician.
What is his effect?
His effect reads, when this card is normal summon, you can send one level 4 or lower monster from your deck to the graveyard. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can draw one card. And he is Earth, so he will gain the boost by Mises Radiant, and in general, Maker. So he's not a terrible in the sense that he can be used to link off. When he's destroyed, he can draw, and he can get the stuff that you need to the graveyard. Mathematician level 3. Earth. Spellcaster.
What's that goblin bird I had? I want to reread his effect. He had a somewhat.
You don't have it on the card base?
And I had it here. I had it here somewhere. Goblin bird. I just had him. Oh, here he is. When this card is normal summon, you can special summon one level 4 lower monster from your hand. Now, does Mathematician need to be normal summoned, or can he be special summoned for his effect?
He has to be normal summon. See, that's the only downside I can see about him. He wastes your normal summon. Now, if you're worried about normal summons, there is also double summon. Depending on how much tributing this deck needs to do in order for it to. However, you might want to also incorporate ancient rules into there.
It sounds like a. Let's see what I have in here.
I do have ancient rules. There it is. Right here.
Special summon one level 5 or higher normal monster from your hand. 5 or higher.
And you might want to start considering like the average levels of your monsters so that you can start thinking of Xyz monsters and synchro monsters, which then you might even need 1-for-1 or level 1s to make those synchros happen. I forget what this card does. What does it do?
Select one card your opponent's graveyard, return it to the deck. It's,
No. It's good in against like me.
Soul Charge. Will I need Soul Charge in this? Let me just put this to the side because I feel like Soul Charge is just usually. Soul Charge is just inherently broken. Just a really good card. There's something that I was thinking of, but I can't.
Compulsory evacuation device might be something that you might think of. Bamboo swords.
I only have the one, the cursed bamboo sword.
I believe I have golden and no, not broken. Anybody giving any new suggestions?
Thought I had a double summon. Guess not.
I can look in the stores binders. Though I doubt it. Let us know, guys. Let us know what you guys think. Come on. Some of you guys have better ideas probably than we do. How can we make this as good of a deck as we possibly can? Maybe Manju, Senju. What do you guys think? Contact C.
We're having some sort of issue with the video that just happened to start acting weird. I don't know what that was.
If it's a normal summon heavy deck, you could probably think of Pot of Duality.
That's a good idea. Actually, I did have that in mind, so I thought I set one aside here.
Did you need another reinforcements of the army? Oh, I think that's only
Yes.
a one of, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's at one, but I think we are gonna need one for this deck. Rhoda. have one duality. I should have more. I have to look for them, but duality should be good. Just this dig 3 cards deeper, pull 1. This one is also something I'm considering just for back row removal and for search power. Spiral Flame Strike. Activate one of these effects. If you control an odd eyes card, target one card on the field, destroy it. Or you can add to your hand one level 7 odd eyes monster from your deck, or face a level 7 odd eyes pendulum monster from your extra deck. So that would get you your odd eyes pendulum dragon to the hand, and he would act as a low scale, whereas a mid scale. Act as a mid scale, or you can pendulum summon him out if you have your other ones. He's a 2500 body, level 7.
If you're worried about attack points and things can't get around them, you might want to do that if you're not using spells and traps to affect your opponent.
Target one Buster Blader you control. Equip this monster from your hand or your set of the field to that target. Wait, what? You can target one Buster Blader you control. Equip this monster from your hand or your set of the field to that target. Oh, it's a Union monster. While this card is equipped to that monster, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck. While this card is equipped to a monster, you can special summon this equipped card. You can only use this effect of Dragon Buster Destruction Sword once per turn. It's a level 1. And it's a tuner, huh? Whoa. Alright, that's gonna open a lot of doors. It is a very level 7 heavy deck. The 3 Pendulum Dragons, 3 Buster Bladers, and 3 Dragon Pit Magicians, that all level 7s with a level 1 tuner. That opens up doors to a few really good synchro monsters. Let's see what those are going to be actually. Start looking at some extra deck options.
So there's always strikes and warnings. You can always have a Link Spider. This is a normal monster. If you're gonna have effect monsters, you could potentially use Decode Talker.
Alright. I'm thinking with that possibility, there's 3 good synchro monsters I can think of that I have in my binder. Stardust Dragon, of course. If any destruction effect is activated, you contribute Stardust Dragon, negate and destroy the activation. Send them to the graveyard, and then if his effect is not negated during the end phase, you can bring him back and put him into a normal monster zone. And another good level 8 synchro is, of course, because he's a 1-of Side-Frame Lord Omega, he can get back anything that's banished, and that is the grave on your opponent's main standby phase, and of course everybody uses him for his main effect, which is to rip a card out of your opponent's hand. If you're going game 2 or game 3 and you know your opponent's running Sphere Mode or Kaijus, or if they've hand trapped you and you want to leave them with one less card in their hand for the next turn, you can rip one more out with Side-Frame Lord Omega. And Enlightenment Paladin. Enlightenment Paladin reads, if this card is sequence summoned using a Magician Pendulum monster as material, you can target one spell card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. When this card destroys an opponent's monster at battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. Now, that's not before the damage calculation, so if you hit something with 2000 attack, not only do you deal 500 damage to them, you burn them for the original 2000. So it's good for like OTKs, and it's good to recur any spell card that you might want or need back to your hand, like Soul Charge or Ancient Rules, or I don't know, anything really. Monster Reborn. This gives you a way to go into a second copy of it for free, especially if it's a one of like Soul Charge.
So I'm just picking out some things that are just kind of general in, in the game that might be good. Just because Buster Blader may not have protection and effects against things that are, kind of running rampant. So there might be some things that you might need to, incorporate just so that you can actually make it decent. Because the point of it is to hopefully make it, yeah, for fun, but at the same time, decent.
Yeah. And really quick, I'm gonna just pick out some level 7s.
Saryuja.
Some level 7, or rank 7s, I should say. Galaxy Tomahawk. Busted card right there. Gives you 5 free tokens if you need to. Then you can just link climb into into anything really.
Are you using you're using dragon type and warrior type monsters, are you not?
Yeah. Dragon Knight, Draco Equities. 1 dragon type synchro monster. Whoa. And 1 warrior type monster. You can only special summon this. This monster can only be special summoned by fusion summon from the extra deck. Once per turn, you can select 1 dragon type synchro monster in your graveyard, remove it from play. Treat this card's name as that monster's name. Give this card the same effect as that monster until the end phase. While this card's in face-up attack position, any effect damage you will take from an opponent's card effect is inflicted to your opponent instead. 3,200 attack. Pretty decent, pretty good effect actually, but I feel like
He's a lot of work for
Yeah.
what he's giving. Okay. Because you're not going to have many synchro monsters that are dragons, are you?
I think just the Stardust Dragon, and he's 2,500. He's 2,500, but I don't know how much benefit that extra
Attack power?
700 attack power is worth. I don't know. He might be something to consider. What level is he? 4, 8, 10. He's a level 10. Level 10 fusion. And someone asked if we had the Wave of Light. We do still have Wave of Light structure decks available for sale. A lot of people, everybody seems to love those. I mean, it's a really good deck that you can just grab 3 of, throw just a bunch of cards from it together, and you can make something kind of like what we're hoping to build here. Something that's not necessarily meta or meta relevant per se, but it can still hold its own and can still win a few games.
Check out our TCG player. We might have some, and of course we do shipping, so you might want to look it up there if you're not in LA. And if you are in LA, remember to check us out here at 4525 South Main Street. If you want to see our stuff on gamerzclub.tcgplayerpro.com or gamerzclub.com. And if you have any questions about and forget how to spell it or anything, you can always DM us at our Facebook or Instagram.
Here's 2 cards that I also want to incorporate for maybe the extra deck. Brave Eyes Pendulum Dragon. One Pendulum Dragon monster and one Warrior type monster. When this card is fusion summoned, change the attack of all face-up monsters currently on the your opponent currently controls to 0. Also, for the rest of this turn, other monsters you control cannot attack. Negate the effects of monsters with 0 attack. At the end of the damage step, when this card attacks an opponent's monster, but the opponent's monster was not destroyed by battle, banish that opponent's monster. So it basically turns all their attack points to 0, and if it can't be destroyed by battle, it banishes it. So things like this can run over something like Beals pretty well. And then something else I want to incorporate is number 86, Heroic Champion. I have no idea how to even pronounce that, but he's number 86, Heroic Champion.
Oh, Heroic Champion Rongo Miniad.
Now he has a pretty good effect. It says 2 or more max 5 level 4 warrior type monsters. During each of your opponent's end phase, detach 1 Xyz material from this card, and this card gains effects based on the number of Xyz material attached to it. 1 or more cannot be destroyed by battle. 2 or more gains 1500 attack and defense. 3 or more unaffected by other cards' card effects. 4, your opponent cannot normal summon or special summon monsters. And number 5, once per turn you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. So they can't normal summon, special summon. He becomes a 3000 attack beater. He can't be destroyed by battle. Is unaffected by card effects. And once per turn he can nuke your opponent's board. And he's a rank 4. That's broken.
Some of the stuff you might want to consider for links is because these are requirements, you may or may not want to use those.
Link Spider, Pentastag, and Decode Talker. We are running Tomahawk, so we might also throw in a Firewall Dragon like someone suggested. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And we incorporate Firewall. 14?
13, I believe.
13. So we have a decent extra deck going already.
And obviously we'll probably add some more stuff to it. With this deck, I'm thinking that it's probably going to be packed to the brim. Just because at this point, if we only have 12, or even 13, we can incorporate some nightmares in there just for removal.
Yeah, that back row removal is always important, especially in the way the game is played today. You do want to have options to pop stuff in the back, on the back row.
Which these are my 3 favorite right now. They're the most viable.
Which is also why I like this card, because it's a level 7, it's a vanilla, and it's a high scale, and once per turn you can discard 1 pendulum monster and destroy 1 spell or trap card on the field. So that's some back row removal. But we're up to 31 cards in the main deck, 12 cards in the side deck, extra deck I mean. We might not get to the side deck today, but because we still do need to play test it and see maybe what. Before we work on side deck, we have to finish the main deck and extra deck.
So these might be right off the bat the ones that might be useful. Cerberus and Phoenix. Unicorn, that's for, what does that remove? Do you remember off the bat?
Unicorn? No, I don't.
I don't remember what it is, but so these are the ones that I usually, I'm a big fan of, including Mermaid, but Nightmare Mermaid. But we'll put these here, just because these will probably be used in there.
Alright, let's see if we can maybe incorporate some power trap cards. Here's this. Oh, sweet. 2 strikes. 1 warning. I think we could do 2 torrentials. And 2 bottomless, maybe?
What does back to the front do? Is that warrior support? Or what does it do?
Back to the front. Let's take a quick read at target 1 monster in your graveyard, special summon in defense position. Too good. It's actually not bad. What do you think about that? Bring something back in defense position. But we do have soul charge and
Okay.
monster reborn.
What are you thinking about Emperor Iron Wall?
Neither player can banish cards.
No, we're banishing, right?
Yeah, ideally.
Okay.
So this
if
might
it's an
be a
ideal-
side deck option. Maybe Mind Crush. Mind Crush is usually good because everybody searches nowadays. Might even be able to run this at 3. It is just a really good card. We'll see. We'll see. Just taking stuff out, trying to look at all our options.
Don't be afraid to give us some suggestions, guys.
All right. 31, 32, 33, 34. 5, 36, 37, 38, 39. Although I don't want to see how many trap cards we're running also.
Yeah, because for that kind of stuff, I feel like this is just a better option. Just because you want to not clog your hand up and you don't want to, have them be twin twisted.
It's true. That is kind of the.
If you're not
bad thing about running
using
too much back row.
If you're not using spells heavy to attack your opponent's monsters necessarily, this might be a good option. And if you're worried about their effects and not how strong your own monsters will be, if you're running beaters, this might be a good option.
What are those? I don't really know those.
Forbidden Chalice and Forbidden Lance. So the Lance, target 1 face-up monster on the field. This turn, that target loses 800 attack, but is unaffected by the effects of other spells or traps. So unless you're going to stun them with your spells and traps, like strike or something, this is a good option so you can mull over them. Just boom, right over them. Or if you're not worried about their attack whatsoever, you can run Forbidden Chalice. It doesn't have to be in the back row for long. You can just activate a quick play either from your hand or from because this is really good to get over certain things. Target 1 face-up monster on the field until the end phase. It gains 400 attack, but its effects are negated. So if it has effect that for whatever reason allows it to get over your high power monsters, its effects are negated. For instance, I think this would work against Eels.
Target 1 face-up monster in the field until the end phase. It gains 400 attack, but its effects are negated. Lose 400. This actually might be good. Let's see. I like that. These sound pretty solid. Let's see our count one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, 10, we have 38. We do need another level 1 tuner. And a 1-for-1. Now, I do
So-
have a glow up bulb, I believe. But I don't have 1-for-1. Those could be the last 2 cards.
I did just see a 1-for-1 here.
But here he is. Glow up bulb.
Where did I see that 1-for-1?
This card is in your graveyard. You can send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon this card. You can only use this effect once per duel. Glow up bulb. Good toolbox card. Really solid. I might have one here myself, actually. Oh, I have one here. 1-for-1. So let's see. Let's take a. That's 40, but let's see what our cards look like. Monsters, spells, traps, spells. Monsters, spells. There's 2 strikes, 1 warning, 1 torrential, whiteboards, 2 destruction sword trap cards, which are pretty good. We might end up cutting these for something else, just because there's a lot of other good cards that we did have. Actually, let's cut these for some 1-ups actually right away. The Rhoda and what would you suggest? Summoner Soul Charge or Summoner's Art or Ancient Rules? I think it's between these 3 here.
These would go well together. See, because that one, Rhoda, is for a level 4, but this one gets you your boss monster, which is the one you're trying to look for.
Well, it has to be a normal monster. That would get us a scale. That would get us a high
that's
scale.
right. Okay. You're right. So it's Soul Charge. Target 1 warrior in your graveyard. Add that target to your hand. So this still goes as a combo really good, because if for some reason it's in your graveyard. Actually, these 3 right here would work in perfect conjunction, but it's just too much 1-ups, so I don't like it.
These look somewhat solid. Let me just take one quick count again.
Are you running polymerization?
Yeah, at 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We need one more actually. We need one more card.
These are really hard to choose from. Soul Charge. This will get you your poly for sure. That one, and of course Ancient Rules, so that you don't have to tribute for. Wait, what is this? Special summon 1 level 5 or higher level normal monster, but you don't need to special summon your level 5 or higher normal monsters.
No.
Because Buster Blader is not You can always potentially run card destruction.
I think that's good. Let's go with that. Let's see how that works.
Okay.
I think we might need to wrap it up, so my phone I think should be probably dying. Fortunately.
What we could do is go off the air for a bit and then use the 6 to go back on air for YouTube. At least for just a quick match. And then, so pretty much, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. As far as like working on it, we're gonna keep these cards available for you know, the options that we liked for the deck itself. However, we might go off air on YouTube. We're gonna continue on Twitch for just a few minutes, just so that we can get set back up on YouTube, because the camera that we're using right now might be running out of battery. So in order for us to kind of use it a little bit, the deck that is, we might have to go off air for just a second. And then that'll drive us into the end of the segment for this week. For sleeves, I can provide sleeves.
I think I have sleeves here.
Okay.
They just need to be sleeved up.
And I can assist with that. If you want to prepare your camera back up.
14, 15, 16, 17, 17. As long as those are 17, I think these and then these. Just, if you can, make sure that they're all
5,
the same
6,
size.
7, 8. Oh.
Let's see, we got some comments.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yes, 17.
Chench was asking if we play poker, which I don't play poker. I actually don't know how to play poker.
I'm not very well versed in it. I kind of know how to play. I'm vaguely familiar, and then there's different types of poker. Sometimes people forget that there's like different types of poker. So these are the more rigid ones, and these are the more, well, this is the rigid one as well. This is more rigid. These are more flimsy. These are more flimsy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 16, and 17. Alright. So 17. Alright, so that's what we're about to do. We're about to go off air on YouTube. But we will be back for the match. We are going to stay on Twitch.